أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر آمنت بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين اللهم طهر قلوبنا من النفاق وأعمالنا من الرياء رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربنا زدنا علما ربنا زدنا علما ربنا زدنا علما اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا ورزقا حلالا طيبا واسعا وعملا متقبلا آمين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I welcome you all in this weekly session of our journey towards understanding Quran and towards studying the Quran. Alhamdulillah, we have covered couple of surahs till date, and today also we are on this journey of starting a new surah. So last time we completed Surah Hamazah, which gave us a lot of lessons, which gave us a lot of lessons in the sense like how to behave with people and what not to do and what to do. So today we are going to talk about an exemplary surah, a surah which is magnificent in all the senses. And the beauty of this surah is it is just three ayahs, just three ayahs. That's the beauty. See, when there's a person who writes an essay, for example, 500 words, 1000 words, 2000 words, then we say, okay, there'll be a lot of lessons. When someone writes just 10 lines or 3 lines or 5 lines, and when there's an attempt to check that paper or check those things, and we apparently say that no, there will be no lessons in these 3 lines, in these 10 lines, better to like it's a wastage of time to check this paper, right? And because we feel that there should like lessons come in the form of lines, lessons come when there are many lines, right? But when we study Quran, when we go in depth in this journey, then we don't find that rule working over here, right? That rule doesn't work here. For example, I already said, if I am if I'm attempting for a post or I'm writing an exam, then the teacher would expect that he should write many pages. At least he should write 20 lines, 40 lines, or he should write 2 page, 3 page, so as to answer the question. Even if I write stories, but they want it, right? But when we look at Quran, it is something different. It is altogether different. Those rules do not apply here. those rules which we apply in our day-to-day lives do not apply here. Those rules fail. And Allah gives us a different perspective of His kalam, of His words. It's always amazing. When we go deep into the Quran, then we find many gems. Wallahi. We find many gems when we go deep into the Quran. And if we, for example, if I have studied a surah, maybe today, if I study the same surah after a week or 10 days, 20 days, or even after a month, then this surah will give me different perspectives. It will give me new wealth of knowledge because this is the kalam of Allah. Even if we try to explain all those things, there will be some other things coming up, right? That's the beauty of Allah's kalam. That's the beauty of Allah's words. So we should go and dive into the kalam of Allah. So coming towards today's surah, that is Surah Asr, Suratul Asr, Surat al-Asr, right? Um, Surah Asr categorically tells us that human beings are in loss. And it doesn't tell us, okay, human beings are in loss, okay, done. No, it talks about how we can come out of that loss. Okay, firstly, this surah makes a decisive comment. It makes a decisive statement. Human beings are in utter loss. Then it talks about how we can come out of that loss and go towards success and salvation, right? So in order to know what is success, what is salvation, we have to understand this surah, what this surah talks about. This surah's name is al-Asr, alif lam ain sad ra. Actually the word is asr ain sad ra, but when we use alif lam hamza lam, it becomes al-Asr, that is the time, right? It means the time. So al-Asr means the time. According to the Quran, according to the present Musaf which we have in our hands, it is 103rd surah, right? 103rd surah. But according to Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he says this surah is the 13th revelation. So we can guess what would be the period of revelation of this surah. It will obviously be Makkah. It will obviously be the period when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in Makkah. And Mufassirun say that it was the 4th year of prophethood, right? And this surah has 3 ayahs. I already said um, this surah is very short. It has 3 ayahs only. What other surah has 3 ayahs? Surah Kawthar. And that is the shortest surah in the Quran. Which one is the longest surah? That is Surah Baqarah. Surah Baqarah is the longest surah in the Quran, 286 ayahs, and Surah Kawthar is the shortest surah in the Quran with 3 ayahs. Similarly, this surah is also with 3 ayahs, but there are more words. That's why Mufassirun do not consider this surah as the shortest one. They consider Surah Kawthar as shortest one, right? So when we look at the background of the surah, um, among the Mufassirun, Mujahid, Qatada, and Muqatil, they all say that this is a Madani surah. But a great majority of the mufassirun, of the commentators, say that it is a Makki surah, because they say that when we look at its subject matter, it testifies that it must have been sent down in the earliest stage at Makkah, when the message of Islam was being presented in brief but highly impressive sentences. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ, so that the listeners who heard them once could not forget them even if they wanted to, because they were automatically committed to memory. Even if they wanted to remove these ayahs from their memory, but it would already be in their mind. This was the power of Allah's surahs, Allah's kalam. And when we talk about the theme of the surah, so the surah is actually a matchless specimen of comprehensiveness and brevity. This is very brief. As I already said, this is very brief. And Allah says a great message. He expands, he explains a great message in just three ayahs, in just three sentences. And a whole world of meaning has been compressed into its few brief words, which is too vast in content to be fully expressed even in a book. So in this surah, we find a clear and plain way has been stated. It talks about what is the way to true success for a man, and what is the way to ruin and destruction for him. It answers those questions. And you can imagine how important this surah was in the sight of the Sahaba. It can be judged from the hadith which was cited from Abdullah bin Hisan ad-Darimi. He says, whenever any two of the companions, two of the Sahaba would meet, and when the time of parting up would come, they would not part their company until they had recited the surah to each other. Right? So, when they would, for example, when they would meet and they would talk about Islam or whatever topic they had in their minds, and when the time would come for their parting, for their like going into their directions, they would recite Surah Asr to each other. Why? They were um, reminding each other about the surah, about what is happening. What is happening? Time is very running. So, Shuyaib Ibn Hudaifah said, when two companions of Rasulullah would meet, they would not depart until they had recited Surah Asr. And then they would give Salaam and leave. Surah Asr first, and then Salam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And interestingly, Imam Shafi'ee Rahimahullah says, if only mankind reflected upon this surah, it would be sufficient for them. I think I already said that in the last meeting. Like, if we just reflect upon this surah, if we reflect upon the message of the surah, then it will be enough for us. Because Allah is gathering many things, many gems in the surah. Right? So, just- huh, this surah has certain lessons, guidance, and reflection. So it categorically says, the formula for the way to salvation is to become a believer, perform good deeds, be truthful, be trustworthy, and be patient. Not only that, you have to advise the same to others, right? You have to advise the same to others. And interestingly, Allah starts this surah by an oath. Why? So as to attract people, so as to grab the attention of people. So, like Allah is Al-Hakim. He knows what to do, when to do, and how to do. When Allah uses any oath in the Quran, any qasam in the Quran, it is with a purpose. It's not like purposeless. All the aqsam, all the oaths in the Quran are with a proper purpose. They are not purposeless. Similarly, Allah has used an oath in this surah. So he says, indeed, the human being is in the state of loss if they think that they can manage life without guidance, and without any instructions. If man is thinking like, oh, I don't need any guidance, I don't need any instruction, I can live my life as I want, then that person is mistaken, and then he will not be guided, and he will find himself in a dungeon of darkness, right? So let's move on to the first ayah. Maybe we can cover first ayah in today's session, because attendance is very low today. We'll try to cover first ayah in this session, inshallah. Allah is saying, al-Asr. Allah says, by the time. In simple words, Allah is taking oath on this time. He says, I am taking oath on this time. By the time. Al-Asr. First of all, before going into the depth, before going into the other subjects of the surah, we have to ask, why does Allah takes oaths in the Quran? What what uh, what makes him takes qasams, takes aqsam, takes oaths in the Quran? What is the need of taking oaths? So Imam Hamiduddin Farahi Rahimahullah and his student Maulana Amin Ahsan Islahi Rahimahullah, they have worked on these things like collaboratively. First it was Imam Farahi Rahimahullah, then his student Amin Ahsan Islahi Rahimahullah, he worked on those lines. Imam Farahi Rahimahullah worked on why Allah is taking oath in the Quran. And according to him and other scholars, they say an oath has three types. If you want to make notes, you can take notes. He says an oath has three types, right? First one, oath for witness, right? Oath for witness. We take oaths, हम कसम खाते हैं, किस लिए? Why? To witness. For example, I'll say, Urdu or Hindi, Papa ki kasam, Mummy ki kasam, by my father, by my mother, by my sister, by my brother, by my wife, by my children, by my daughter. These people are all what? They are essential to my life. They're very important to my life, right? I'll not take their oaths just for the sake of taking oaths. No, I'll be very serious whenever I'm taking their oath, right? So it's not like I'm taking oath for like without any reason. There will be a reason, and there will be a reason for witness, right? So it happens, oaths are taken for evidence, for witness, and we take oaths of those things which are sacred and more valuable to us, right? We'll not take, for example, I'll not say that buy this wall, buy the laptop, right? I take oath upon my laptop, I take oath upon my watch, and people will tell me, what are you saying, man? This is not common. This is not sane. You should take oath of something sacred, something valuable. For example, I take oath upon the Quran. It's valuable, that's sacred, right? So it happens for what? It happens for witness or evidence. If I want to show evidence, for example, I'll say, uh, uh, by Allah, by Quran, I did not steal that. I didn't go there. I didn't go out of this room, right? Or by my father, I didn't go out of this room. I didn't call him. I didn't call her, right? So it's for evidence. I'm showing evidence. I'm showing witness, and that's why I'm taking oath, right? That's one type of taking oath. Second type is oath for attention. First one was oath for witness, oath for evidence. Second one is oath for attention. What is attention? If you want to grab attention of some people, your audience, for example, um, you are in family and nobody is listening to you, and now you want to grab the attention of your family members or a group or your friends, right? But you don't know how to do it. What Arabs would do is they would create oaths, interesting oaths, so as to create attention, so as to grab attention of people. What would they say? Um, buy the camel which has 5 legs, which gives more this milk. For example, buy the camel which has 6 legs. Usually, we have seen camel, and those people have seen camel with 4 legs, right? It's unusual when we think of camel with 5 legs, with 6 legs, with multiple more than 4 legs. And when they would say it in front of people, people would say, okay, which is that camel? We haven't seen that camel. What is that? And sometimes they would say, by the sky, which is blue, which has the clouds hovering over it. By the sea, when the shadows are hovering it. And those people would get amazed. Man, something is there, something different is there. So, why did they do it? They would do it so as to grab their attention, so as to grab the attention of their listeners, of their audience. That's why they would do it. So these are two. First one is oaths are taken for what? For witness, for evidence, for showing evidence. Second thing, for grabbing attention. And there's third one. Third one is what? Third type of oaths. It's oaths by Allah. What? Oaths taken by Allah. So what Allah does is Allah is merging, He's combining both the oaths, both the oaths. The first one, the the oaths for witness, the oaths for evidence, and then the oaths for grabbing attention. That is the third. That is the third type of what? Um, just a minute. I got something here. Sorry. Hmm. So that is first one is for witness, second one is for attention, third one is it is the Allah's ways. It is Allah's way. So he combines both attention as well as witness. So because why Allah did it? Because he knows what makes them attractive. What these people are doing, I will do in the same way because he has to deliver the message, right? He has to deliver the message and he takes their approach. He takes the same approach, what they would do. Because Allah is Al-Hakim, He is wise. So Allah used both the types so as to have attention as well as give them evidence. That's the combination of both the oaths. And when Allah is saying by the time, I hope you would have understood this, the concept of taking oaths in the Quran. When Allah is taking oath by time, by waqt, by asr, and Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, لا تصب أحدكم الدهر فإن الله هو الدهر. Do not any one of you curse time because Allah is time. And some scholars say that this means that Allah is the controller of time. So we should not criticize time. Like, that was a horrible year. That day was very horrible. That day was very bad. I wish I did not have that time. That day, that month was very bad for me. It was like ugly for me. So we should not say that. We should not criticize time because Allah is the creator of time. Allah is creator of everything and including time. So we should not do it. We should not curse time because time is from Allah. If we curse time, then it means that na'uz billah, na'uz billah, na'uz billah min zalik, we are cursing Allah. Na'uz billah. So we should not do that because He is the creator of time. So if something bad happens, Allah has already said in the Surah Baqarah, if something bad happens to the believers, what they say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. If something bad happens to them, if they don't like anything, if they got a bad news, or they are stuck in a situation, or they had a loss, what they say, قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. So this should be on our tongues when something bad happens. May Allah save us all from bad things. One time, so what happens in the contemporary times is, um, we usually recite this sentence, this jumla, when when we get a news of somebody's death, or when we see a janaza going through, then we say Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was working during the night and his lamp got off. It got off. Then he recited Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And the Sahabi asked, Ya Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, should we recite this sentence during the times when we feel bad or when we when we lose something? He said yes, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Right? So we should have that approach when something bad happens or we are not getting something on time. Then what should we say? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So when Allah is swearing by time, swearing by Asr, it implies Allah is telling the humans to reflect on the passage of time. And secondly, he says, man is always in loss in the second ayah. So why does he say that in the second ayah? Because it's based on the proof from this ayah, al-Asr, that time is always moving forward, and we humans can never get back the time we have lost. I'll ask you, I'll ask myself also. Can you return the time of 20 years? For example, if you're 20 years old, 30 years old, 25 years old, I'll not go that beyond. I'll just ask, can you bring back your um, uh, 2 hours? No, we're not capable of doing that. We can't do that. If I'll ask you, can you just return back, bring back your 10 minutes, previous 10 minutes? Or if you'll ask me the same question, I'll say, no, I can't do it. It's in the hands of Allah. I can't do it. It's gone, done. If I would have wasted that time, then done. If I would not have wasted that time, if I would have invested that time in something good, in my studies, in reciting Quran, in reading a book, or doing something good, or helping someone, then it will be good. If I would have wasted that time in scrolling up reels on WhatsApp, these Instagram, Twitter, or whatever we have, then it will be wasted. It means I will have wasted my 10 minutes, my 1 hour, my 2 hours, my 3 hours, or whatever time I have. So Allah is saying here, we humans can never get back the time we have lost. Done. It's gone and gone. And in this ayah, Allah is saying, you had so much opportunities in life which you could use in doing good. The best goodness is to get closer to Allah. And then you regret you didn't do that. But for example, it happens with all of us. Sometimes we get engrossed in certain things which are not necessary. We get engrossed in some chats which are not necessary. And then we realize, oh, I wasted 1 hour. I wasted 30 minutes. I wasted 15 minutes. What should I do? And like, it's done. So we should not lose hope. What we can do is we can change these regrets into future intentions and struggle to do good when opportunities come in the future. So the oath and its response in the ayah number 2 in al-insan lafi khusr are a proof for each other. Man being in loss and him admitting that he wasted his time. Right? And thirdly, the word asr refers to the life. It also refers to durations, zaman of nations, durations of nations. It refers to the rise and fall of nations, and it is actually a proof of humans being in loss. Fourthly, um, uh, the object of the oath is a witness for the subject. That is, Allah calls a witness for the subject. Allah is bringing time as a witness to the fact that many humans are in loss. Next, human beings chase after the world which distract them from the real purpose in life. And you will ask me how? Why do I make these statements? I have that reason is People throughout history have chased and have been chasing after wealth, beautiful things. They have chased beautiful things, power, and other things. And people chased after all these things, thinking that they will achieve success, and while they were in that state. And what happened after that? They died, right? They died. The same process has been repeating generations after generation, generations after generations, for thousands of years. And that's one creation of Allah which has continuously been witnessing all this. What is that? It is al-Asr, the time. You can see since time immemorial, from the time when Adam alayhi salam was created. The people of Firaun wasted a lot of time in fighting Bani Israel. They wasted a lot of time in fighting Hazrat Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. The people of the Bani Israel, the children of Israel, wasted a lot of time in doing bad things to their prophets. They were questioning them, they were arguing with them, they were not ready to compromise with anything. They were killing prophets, and this time has recorded everything. This time has recorded those things also which the Sahaba did with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they were looking for each drop of wuzu coming from the body of blessed body of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they would uh, take that, take those drops out of the wuzu of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Time has recorded that. Time has recorded everything. And time is recording everything, and time will record everything until until the day of judgment. It will record everything. It will be a witness either for us or against us. We'll ask Allah to make time witness for us in good ways, and make our lives good, and make our lives in performing good deeds, inshallah. And time is a witness to the tragedy of the human being. When we linguistically talk about time, uh, it says it is running out. Even Salat al-Asr, the Salah, the namaz of Asr, is the last prayer of the day. After that, the next day starts. Right? Am I right? The next day starts from Maghrib. After some time, we'll go into the Maghrib time, and then the next day will start. And that's the end of the day. That's time. Uh, some scholars say that Asr was the time when the merchant and traveler were always in a hurry, they were always in rush, because it was a time of danger. And Asr is a time which is associated with urgency. Whatever Allah has to say now, it is a time of emergency. The sunset of our life is passing by. The ending of our day, the ending of our life is coming soon. It's coming. It's not going anywhere. It's coming. And we'll think that, okay, I'll keep all my reports ready. I'll keep hold of wealth, and I'll sustain all these issues because of my wealth, because of my good health. No. Allah is the knower of when we are going to die. So it's unpredictable. It can happen anytime. We have to be ready. So Imam Razi Rahimahullah says the struggle, like Asr means The struggle of the human being is like the one who is trying to sell ice. It is melting away, and he needs to sell it quickly and quickly. And he needs to make as much sales before the end of the day comes. Otherwise, all his valuables and efforts will go to waste. Right? So he describes time in that sense. And um, uh, we have a person in examination hall. He has that exam for 3 hours, for 2 hours, for 1 hour. And it's up to him or her whether to use that time in gossiping, whether to use that time in looking at others, whether to use that time in attempting his or her paper. It's up to him. If he attempts his paper, if he writes answers to the questions of that paper, then he may pass. And within that, he has to do that within that duration only. Within that duration only. And when Allah talks about, I told you, Allah's kalam is very baligh. It has a balagha. It's very awesome. Allah used the word asr. Asr is meaning time. Asr is also meaning the time of asr namaz, right? Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, if a person loses the asr namaz, please be attentive to this. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, if a person intentionally loses asr namaz, it will be as if he has lost his mal, his children, his everything. मालो दौलत का नुकसान हो गया. It will be as if he lost his parents, children, mal, wealth, and everything in it. Everything. So he'll be left like nothing. The person who intentionally loses asar namaz. So we have to be very careful about asar namaz, and we have to be very careful about uh, this time. So this was about the first ayah, the time. So inshallah on next Sunday we'll go ahead inshallah. Until then, I'd like you also to study and use your time in good things. Use your time in helping others. Use your time in reading good books, reading Quran, and doing good things. So that will be because this time will be witness for us, inshallah. So I'll stop here, and then if you have any questions, please go ahead. Inshallah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم. I'll stop there.